Everyone, my name is Yuntow, and today, that's right, we get to have ourselves another cast. This is still week 2 of the Innisphere Coalition, the 6v6 Innisphere Mech only tournament, and we have some exciting times to have before us. So we have 7 Sakura Fusiliers, sorry if I said that wrong, I'm probably going to call you Savvy from here on out, facing 2d20 Nuisance value. Now, Savvy, this is her second match of the tournament, obviously, hence week 2. But for Nuisance value, this is their first match. That first week, they actually had a bye, so they didn't get to play against anybody. So we'll see if that actually factors in. Savi being a newer team to comp, a lot of people who haven't played comp before, with a few that actually have some experience coming together to play for the first time together. So chemistry building going on there to play in this tournament. 2d20 Nuisance value, while there are some new faces who are joining 2d20, and yes, I am the leader of 2d20, I am not casting this in any way, shape, or form that they can view or watch. I'm currently sitting in the MW Comp Discord, and I will actually be joined by Hammerfell, who is the coach. We're going to get some hard-hitting questions later on with Hammerfell to see if that's the case, but he's the coach of Savi. So both of us will be casting our match, rooting for our teams, and trying not to be super biased. While I would love to see Nuisance value pop off, especially for their first time, especially with all these cool people coming together to play together, I kind of want their ass kicked a little bit. You know, I want them to sweat a little bit for it. I don't want them to sweep. I want them to have a good time. But we'll see what happens to see if we can get going. Hopefully we'll have some good action and good things to happen. So first things first, the teams are communicating right now because Hammerfell, who is a caster for the MW Leagues, is currently busy finishing up a cast for another game. Here, I'm actually going to communicate something real quick. He mentioned he will be here for drop 2 and off. So yeah, that's currently what we're looking at right now. Hammerfell is trying to finish the cast. I'm Yuntow, for anybody who doesn't know. I do casting. I do a lot of Mechwarrior Online content, competitive gameplay, getting people involved in comp, and I do play a lot of different other games, from World of Warcraft to Counter-Strike to the finals to probably Power World, Pokemon. Who doesn't love collecting? I mean, if you're a MechWarrior fan, you know you like collecting. You collect all these mechs all the time. So come on, don't lie to yourself. Don't you dare. So yeah, we are gonna hopefully have some good times with these matches. We are gonna be playing on 3 maps. First one is Caustic Valley for 275 tons, like max tonnage limit. We will also be playing on Emerald Vale. That will go up to 375 tons, and then for the final one, which will be for good old Series Scrapyard. I know, everyone's favorite. I actually really like that map. I know a lot of people like to hate on it, but I think it's a fantastic map. Anyways, the tonnage for that one will go up. Once again, we'll actually be setting ourselves at the 425 tons. And so it goes up a little bit higher, but not too bad. This usually leads itself to more interesting drops. The first drop typically just ends up in being Brawl, but we've been surprised by a couple of the shenanigans, a lot of like fights that we've actually had where some teams bring a little bit of range. I know for Salvage Crew, we brought large X-Pulse. We had some people bring some E-large lasers, but a lot of it does come down to Brawl. Let's see what they said. So we're waiting for videos to wait for the caster. Up to you, Plato. We're fine. Okay, thank you. We can wait for one. Around sounds good. All right, cool. It looks like everybody's gonna waiting, which sucks for me because now I gotta make up a lot of, banter and air and stuff like that. Maybe I'll tell jokes for y'all. I hope that will be okay. Looks, let me just communicate to Hammerfell. Looks like we are waiting for you. All right, cool. Now he knows. I'll probably see him a little bit. Oh, all right. Well, that's fine. All right, cool. Well, anyways, I will send an invite to him just so he has it going. So we're not waiting too long. Invite to lobby. All right, hopefully that works. We'll double check on it. So anyways, I guess I'll give you some inside, the inside scoop, since we don't get the opportunity to do this too often. So I'll go into Nuisance value. So once again, you can see from Nuisance value of Kamasi, Transcat Girl, Wrist, Indigo, Browra, Plato J, and I actually never asked Perry how to say the full name. Pericrone? Pericharon? Something like that? Wrist, no! Anyways, so set for Plato, this is a brand new team. Kamasi has done comp once with us. Being a member of 2d20. Catgirl has done comp once with us, I think. Yes, yeah, with us during the World Championship, obviously. She didn't get to play them too much. Wrist and Civ and Perry, this will be the first time playing with 2d20. Perry has come from a lot of different teams. Currently, they're with Bulge, but they've been played with Tallest in the Mosh Pit. Great unit. Unfortunately, I don't think they're kicking around too much nowadays, but they'll be joining us for this one. It's actually, I met a lot of them. For Savvy, like I said, a lot of new players. We have Malcaron, Kara the Twisted, Poke Light Sheehan, maybe, Arch 13, Hubbletown, and Franken 2. Franken 2 and Arch 2 from SPQ are a team that we have battled against many times for 2d20, especially during the World Championship. So it's cool to see them to come together, help out a new team, get more people involved. I love to have that kind of stuff. Beyond that, we looking for the match. We will have some pretty good fights. I'm always a big fan of seeing some kind of more unique mechs. Like obviously for 2d20, we've ran a lot of different odd ones. Oh my gosh, that scares the crap out of me. Hi Zane. Jesus. I forget that people have like little blurp walk-ons. Anyways, I was kind of hoping that Hammerfell was going to show up in that moment because that would be so epic. What was I going to get at? So yeah, we're going to be trying to see what these kind of teams are going to be doing. We're hoping that we have a nice back and forth, because sometimes with these fights, you just have clean sweeps, which is not the worst. Like a lot of times it comes down to the rock, paper, scissors dynamic of these fights. With the 6v6 format too, like if you lose one mech, that can sometimes be the deciding factor depending on the mech. It can be very hard to bring that back in some cases. So like there's a lot of different elements that can make these fights very one-sided is the point of what I'm trying to say. So with a lot of this, who knows what's going to happen? I think Savvy is a team that we have scripted before. Being brand new to the scene does two things. One, it makes them maybe not super on par with like how comp can go, but at the same time makes them unpredictable. So in a lot of the comp players, and I know a lot of people go back and forth on this one, but for a lot of comp players, what makes you a good comp player is just practice, experience, cliche stuff, but getting familiar with each other, building that trust factor. Because when you're in quick play, you're hanging out with 11 other people, especially if you're a solo queuer, you don't always get that. You don't get that feeling of trust. Like no one's calling you by name. No one's being like, yo, I have your back, or hey, can you have my back? None of that necessarily really happens. If you want to see what happens when you do it, try it. I promise you, sometimes get some really cool results out of it. But with comp, you're forced in those situations where you actually do get to interact and hang out with people, and you're actively learning to do practicing and scrimming and spreadsheet warrior stuff, and you build a little chemistry, build a little camaraderie. And that's what I like about comp. Like, if you enjoy quick play and you want to check out the comp scene, make sure you check out the MW Comp Discord. There's a lot of units, including 2d20, obviously Savi. There's actually tons of units out there now who would probably be willing to get people involved with comp. Some are more friendlier than others. Some of them are a little sweatier than others, depending on your vibe and what's interesting. That might be it. And Bing Bong, Hammerfell has arrived. What up, Hammerfell?
Hey, how you doing, Yuntow? Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So again, everybody, I gave a little bit of introduction to Hammerfell. You already in the lobby? No, not yet.
I am not. I will be right there.
I am ready. Let me not send you a team invite. Boom, invite to lobby.
All right. And for those watching over on MWO Leagues 3, this will be the beginning of Nuisance Value 2d20 versus Savvy Sakura Arms Venture Initiative.
Heck yeah, we're super excited. I was just kind of filling in my chat. So for 2d20 Nuisance Value, this is their first match in the comp. This is the second match for Savi, correct?
They didn't have believe it is, yes.
Yeah, no buys for them first week. They were here to play and a party down. Now, Hammerfell, we haven't casted ever, I think? Question mark?
Together, I believe not.
Well, isn't this exciting then? Me and you in our teams have gone back and forth for many a time, playing against, playing with in some situations. And this is kind of the same thing. Like, I'm not having an active role of Nuisance Value. They're kind of self-organizing. They just kind of glean information from me sometimes. But the same thing goes for Savi, right? Didn't you help coach this team into where they are?
Yes, so I give a bit of a spiel here.
Yeah,
so
give me the deets. Let's go.
Originates from a group from actually PlanetSide 2, a kind of sister game of the MechWarriors. They actually are owned by the same parent company of NN Global 7. So they started out as a unit over there. We've slowly kind of converted a couple of them over to play MechWarrior. So this is the first effort of that group of Savvy kind of moving over here and trying out dipping their toes into the competitive scene of MechWarrior Online.
That's actually really cool. What a little fun deep dive in that one. And you've been pretty active, just trying to get them, used to the game and playing and all that stuff.
Yeah, a couple of them back when I used to play with SPQR for those who don't know. A couple of them used to play with us there, so a couple of them have kind of dipped their toes in there. Hubbletown played with me in last year's ISC when we played with Aces Wild's third team, the Dragon Knights.
Ooh.
So a couple of them have had a little bit dip of their toes in there before, but this is their first time as a cohesive team, kind of getting in here and getting the try it out on their own.
Oh, that is super exciting. I mean, us in 2d20, like that's generally what we love. We love getting people involved in comp because let's be real, it's way better than quick play. 100% better than quick play. So that's great. That's actually really cool, Hamfrell. Good on you for helping people get involved. That's awesome. And just to clarify for everybody, so I will be streaming off of my channel. Hammerfell's going to be streaming off of NW League 3. First time I think that we've ever really done anything like this, which is going to be interesting because it's going to give you all different perspectives while still getting to enjoy both our wonderful voices. Hammerfell,
Absolutely.
we didn't get to really talk about this. You know how I like to cast. You know what I like. I'm gonna leave. Like we could go over the teams. Like you could go over what mech builds they have. I'll go over that my side just to speed that process up.
Sounds good.
I'll let you go over any kind of technical strategizing because you're a genius and I already know you are. But when it gets to the nitty gritty, when it gets to that sweet, sweet action that we all love and enjoy, I might get into it if that's okay with you.
Oh, absolutely, and I
Okay.
think that's
Okay.
that's the perfect flavor to kind of go with me here. Is I tend to be a little bit more analytical,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit less, that color and flavorful punch that you bring to the table here. So I think it'll be good.
Oh, Hammerfell, did I ever tell you you're cute? Just, in a mental, fascinating way, okay?
Aw,
I'm sure you are
you
in
have
person,
to.
but yeah, I just gotta throw it out there. Just gotta throw it out there. Well, hey, I'm excited to do this. This will be the second cast for me today. I'm super excited just to get back into casting, get back on the scene again. And I gotta say, looking at the shoutcasting channel and looking at how much MDO comp has like progressed over these last couple of years, it's cool to see so many casters doing it now. It's very rewarding as someone who gets people involved in comp to seeing people being like, yo, I want to cast, yo, I want to be a part of this. I want to help our poor dear admins who work so hard on trying to get this stuff together. It's also a good scene. It's a good look.
Absolutely, no. It's been really great to not only see that, but just a record turnout overall for Industry Champions 3 here,
Mhm.
with a total of, let's see here, we have down to Division I. Uh, my brain is small and I cannot count that much. However,
That's a lot.
I believe we normally go down to Div G, so there's an additional 12 teams on average, more than what we normally have in our divisions.
Oh, and it's amazing. I know that team one is locked, and we're about to get into team two, getting their stuff together. Do you want to go over any brief ideas and concepts of Caustic Valley? Like, what stuff do you expect to see?
Yes, Caustic Valley here is an interesting map with the plumes of smoke that are on it, and kind of bringing in and making it a bit interesting here with some sightlines kind of cut off from each team around the center of the map here. You either tend to like to see some teams kind of set up here, Fox 3, Fox 4 in trade, maybe some Fox 5 from Team 1, and then possibly either C3 or C5, C6 holds coming up from Team 2 for trading. Or you can possibly see some teams either run through the center of the map in Theta or around the side here through the 3 line as they try and get in the brawl. And it
Mm.
looks like both teams are locked, and we will be getting the game started.
We are launched. All right, here we go. Caustic Valley. Again, 275, or excuse me, 275. I'm not tripping, right? Yeah, 275 tonnage is what they allow. So we do typically see a lot of light mechs, medium mechs. Sometimes you see occasional heavy assault, but a lot of it is focused on either mid-range or brawl trade. So let's see what happens. I'll go ahead and make the journey since you're on the fancy MW leagues. I'll cross to the other side of the map and see what mechs are over there. You can start us off with the mechs you have on your side.
All right, so Team 1 here, we'll see what they are when they spawn in.
Good old
This drop
Caustic
ship's
Valley.
ready to come in. Absolutely. The very beautiful sulfuric yellow.
I got to give it to Caustic Valley with the new changes to happen. It did open up a lot of different avenues, and we get to see that through Emerald Vale and Serious Scrapyard. There's a lot of more stuff you could do on these maps than people sometimes take into account until you start being a nerd and actually doing custom grounds or testing grounds, exploring the maps, looking at different angles. And I love that. I love that the changes that the PJ has done so far has made at least feel a little more, mentally stimulating. Like you can play around with it a bit more.
Absolutely. There's all sorts of different spicy angles that you can take up here, little nooks and crannies that you can kind of stuff your mech in, get some very safe peak angles, as well as some very sheltered flanks. Try and
Hmm.
maneuver around the map.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. Any dark horse mechs you want to see? Oh, never mind. Forget that question. We'll bring it up in between the matches as we are getting into it. What do you got for Team 2?
For Team 1 over here, we have the Fleece 17 coming out from Cryo, Firestarter, a couple Hellspawn 8Ps, and a Stalker 7D. Hellspawns here coming out with Snubnoses and Serms. And large XPL and rocket launchers coming out here from Poke Lighting and that Stalker 7D. What do you have on your side?
All right, so for 2d20 Nuisance Value, we got ourselves some 3 Wolverine 6Ks running 5 medium X Pulse coming from a bunch of the different pilots. We got Plato, Kamasi, and Transcacker running 5-starter A's and E's. We actually got an E and a K. They're really just trying to change it up. 8 small pulses on all of them, so we're looking for a brawl with a little bit of mid-range Overwatch coming in from the Wolverines.
Looks to be a 3-line push coming out here from 2d20. They set up on that hill. Looks like they may get spotted by Cryo here.
I would hope so with that kind of scouting. The fleet is excellent for that scouting purpose. And to notice, like, we have a 2-cap lead already beginning with good old Savi. Let's see if it actually edges them into a victory or at least forces 2d20 Nuisance Value into an uncomfortable situation.
Absolutely. 2d20 here forming up on that hill, looking like they're getting ready to kind of push in. Wrist and Cat Girl hanging back a little bit here as Cryo may get caught out.
Getting a little.
The entirety of their team.
I think he just played tag. He just tapped his leg. And got away with it.
Out, it looks like. And 2d20 will pull off the push there as they got spotted by that flea. Looks as though they are maybe taking a different route.
Seems a little disorganization coming out of Nuisance Value. Say, I don't think they've scouted the main team, and I'm assuming that's making them uncomfortable. But
possibly
with
here,
Stavi is definitely scattered out Nuisance Value though, and seems to be perched and ready to go, waiting to see if they can get them to commit a little bit more before they send their mechs in. And we are off. It's like we have a limit of the trading coming out. Hellspawns have moved in, put a little damage on Plato. Seems to be their called target. Possibly a little bit of mixed focus fire going out as they Wolfpack some Nuisance Value does get stuck in, does pick up the Hellspawn. Frankie2 is down in the Hellspawn. We do have Malgaron getting some nice back shots on the enemy teams. Looks like the Wolverine 6Ks, but Plato's legs are both opened up. Is Malgaron going down? Little again, mixed fire going for it. Leg pop for Malgaron using those jump jets to give him at least a little bit more mobility in that fight, but does go down second. But not to be taken. Arch gets Plato finally out of the game. 1 Hellspawn left for Savi. Savi does get their last Hellspawn legged in the fight as the Wolverines are trying to curt and skirmish around. Looks like Hellbatown is going to have to give out the best fight they could possibly can, but that's a lot of medium X pulse, small pulse. Catgirl doing a little bit of a face hug, but Hellbatown not to be taken down so swiftly. Delphs shrugs to disallow it, and the lone Stalker 17, pretty fresh I might add, is still left in the fight. Right leg orange, but a 1v5 situation's a little scary. Come on, Poke and Lighten, get one more kill. Don't let him take you down. Overheat at least. No, but it was a good fight either way.
Unfortunate. All right, very clean match coming out here from 2d20. A little bit of some hesitation coming out there at the beginning. Once they committed to that brawl there, they were able to cleanly take out that 6-1 kills, and now they just gotta get those last few caps to take the win.
But not to take away from Savi. I mean, one of those Wolverines is legged. The other Wolverine's a little fresh. Let's check out the other mechs just to see some overheat damage coming out of our 2d20 Nuisance Value's Wolfpack. But yeah, the Wolverine 6Ks seem to be more or less okay. They managed to take a little bit of the damage, but I feel like what it came down to is while they hesitated in the beginning, they were able to engage. When they did engage, their Wolfpack was willing to get pretty deep in there, which I think caused a little bit of confusion. But to be fair, the first match being confusing and chaotic, no way. Whoa.
Light tonnage with a lot of fast, speedy mechs and chaos. Who would have guessed?
Publishing stats, I'm sure Hammerfell is doing the same thing. So if you forget to get your stats, there you go. You're welcome. Good damage overall. I mean, 323 coming to that Stalker 7D, so it definitely got a little bit of farm in that fight. For Nuisance Value, it's kind of spread out across the board, itching in their way. Catgirl barely doing a little more damage than good old Civ, so good fight.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, Hammerfell. That was some action. That was quick too. It took a while for them to get involved. I was really expecting the Hellspawns to hit really hard. I think it was just a little bit of the chaos of the Wolfpack, but I definitely can see that those the shots and skill is improving with Savi from like comparatively last week already. Like I feel like this is gonna be a very competitive fight to begin with.
Absolutely. You know, they've been putting in the effort here, and I'm really hoping that it is able to show through from this time.
All right, we're going to go ahead. So that was Caustic Valley. We already now moved to Emerald Vale. Team swaps do not happen just yet. They will happen the one after this one. Now, a couple of things, like I already mentioned it during the last match. So all the Wolverines and all the Firestarter being a pretty classic Innisphere mech, has been burnt by 2d20 Nuisance value. They will not be able to use any of those mechs for the rest of the match. So key notes important there. A Stalker was used earlier on by Savvy, but at the same time, Stalkers are like if they're gonna see play, maybe Emerald Vale, maybe series, but it's gonna be hard to commit more than just one. So I think they could be okay with that one. The health bonds were burnt away by Savi, but health bonds again, they're quick, they're fast, they're mobility, so it might have been useful in series, but using them on the first drop, I think, is a very fair call. Pretty solid one. No Crusaders used by other team. No javelins, right? Did correct me? Were they used by Savi?
No, there was no javelins coming out there.
And would you agree, Hammerfell Javelin kind of a goated mech, even with the recent quirk changes? No Osiris's either, which surprised me a little bit.
Absolutely. The Cyrus was a mech that was possibly, as you mentioned, a dark horse mech that might come out. Osiris is one I was thinking we might see here today, possibly, just because it is a newly buffed mech here.
Mm-hmm.
Possible for some teams to try and see and experiment here and see if any of those variants now are quite good, as still a fairly untested mech now with those brand new buffs.
It might make people pretty nervous because who knows how many people are actually practicing on them before like this said week match. Now next week, I'm always willing to put money on it. We'll probably see at least a few more Osiris's. I don't know if you can see a full drop's worth, but maybe skittered around, one here and there. At least I would be interested to see some more Osiris plays. I feel like the Osiris's were always a mech that were good, just a little squishy. But hopefully these changes make them a little more killy. Maybe we'll see a little more play for it. Do you want to go over Emerald Vale and tell us all the cool strats that people might doing?
Absolutely. So Emerald Vale here. It's another interesting map that has some unique terrain quirks coming out on it here with all the little trees dotted out there. You will occasionally hear some people get upset about the trees in this map as they don't like to shoot at little red boxes. However, similar to Caustic Valley, I think it adds a unique depth and flavor to the game as you have to take that into account when creating your drop decks. And make mechs that are able to handle those trees as you're coming in here. Triple cap is Epsi Theta Kappa there with the two caps on the either ridge side. It'll be interesting to see if either team wants to come up here and kind of hold these ridges. And just to play a very passive receive play style with them like trying to hold Theta Kappa, or if either team is going to try and push the other initially there and try and get that early clean sweep. Seeing your 2 minutes remaining on the clock here for Savvy as they get ready for the match.
Savvy's, I would like to see them do a little bit of range trade. Can I ask? I don't know if this is too telling or like that, but just because you don't get too often where you have casters who have had a personal hand in their teams that they're currently casting for. What kind of like coaching drills? Like, is there any kind of stuff that you could, or if you don't want to be specific towards Savvy, what would you recommend is like a good way to get involved with comp, or like what are some basic steps that people could practice? Do you have any like inside tips or tricks for people?
Yeah, so the main training routine that we go for is just like an overall baseline is generally split the team up into do 3v3 or if we can get enough people at the 6v6 lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
We're in kind of a unique situation here with me also being a member of 228 and us having both our TSLL and 228 Reapers team that we have a lot of people who are really interested in getting in there. And you ping out some of those guys for lobbies and we'll get 17 people that show up and are ready to go and just kind of hop in the lobbies and cycle through. And we just kind of go in there, and then I would say just practice target priority. Your composition doesn't matter as much in those practices. It's just a matter of getting down that target priority. Target's called, making sure that target
Mm-hmm.
goes down. As you'll notice in a lot of games, that can be the winning factor of whether or not a team was just able to nail that shot to a single target. If they spread out their damage over the majority of a team before they were able to finish anything off.
Wow, that's actually pretty solid. It makes me a little embarrassed to tell you one of the 2d20 comp practices. We bring in mechs, specifically the spiders, throw as many JJ's engines and a PPC on them, and run no armor. And the idea is that it's called Spider Dodgeball, and we tell people that they can't hit each other unless they are flying through the air. So it's kind of like you can't be on the ground and fire. and we try to get people to practice surviving as long as they can while hitting difficult shots while traversing the air. Typically, we do an HPG. Yours sounds a little more put together than ours, but you know what? It's different flavors, different styles for sure.
Absolutely. And for training light pilots, I think that's definitely a very valuable skill. As you've seen in this tournament over the last couple casts, spiders are quite popular mech here. So that is definitely a valuable skill to have in the light pilots. So as a light training regime, definitely not the most out there, I would say, as it definitely builds those skills of being able to hit your shots while, jumping up and trying to pop tart, or land your shots while your jump jets are you're kicking in.
Oh, Hammerfell, you're gonna make me blush with all these compliments you're giving me. You're gonna let it go to my head. Oh, goodness me. All right, everybody. Well, it looks like we got Team 1 locked. Team 2 is starting to organize and get to their positions. One thing to important, so we do see an Alpha and Bravo Lance, 3 and 3, so not too showing, but we do see an Alpha Lance and Bravo Lance coming out of Team 1. Why that matters is because while some of these maps, the spawn locations are not that significant, they're kind of close to each other, so you can kind of hide your numbers and not be too much of a problem. But Alpha Bravo, for me, tells me that we are going to see a Kappa push. Now, they could shift and go towards Theta. They could shift even harder, especially if they're doing for big brain plays, and go to the Epsi, so not putting people in Charlie purposely to make them think that they're not going to go for an Epsi play. But this leads me to a Kappa play. Kappa is an interesting ridge line because Kappa ridge line is very long range focused, a lot of different peaks. I find that a lot of people are running more blue lasers up there, or people who are not wanting to brawl because Epsi, or where we can see is usually the Team 2's leaning on site, has a lot more singular like sniper ridges. Yeah, you can kind of snipe forever, but there's enough middle ground cover over that Epsilon bridge that makes it difficult for teams to aggress and be on each other. I do see the Team 2 lot coming out of there just to notice it. So we have a 1% in Alpha, 2 people in Charlie, and 3 in Bravo, which is even more wild and unpredictable. And I can see why people don't like playing against 2d20. All right, launching.
I mean, it brings some flavor here. Might be going for probably a double cap strap where they send two to Epsi, and or could possibly having one person from Charlie go towards Theta while the rest all move up that Kappa ridge line. The Kappa ridge line definitely favoring Team 1 in most situations. There is they do have a fairly good oversight from there to Theta. As well
Absolutely.
as that nice protective cover just before you enter in Fox 3, they kind of peek out of if they try and get pushed.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I really do like Kappa's line of like sniping. I don't like it in the sense that if you do get brawled into, it's kind of this sort of long stretch of land. That's for at least for the brawlers. I love brawling, so of course I'm not gonna like it. But for like rangers, it can be very easy to set up a firing line and punish it. Now, if as we've seen with some of the matches and other comp scenes, blue lasers and gods can stop a brawl, but your focus fire has got to be very on point. And in most cases, it's more wise for you just to W key away, put yourself in a situation where they might not expect you. I hope, and I haven't seen it yet. Both teams have been doing a great job. The first match is kind of no excuse not to. I hope both teams continuously use their light and medium mechs even as we go into the bigger tonnage, because I find, especially on this map, it is a big old map. The verticality makes it such a big map. And when you don't have scout mechs or mechs that are able to be quick, JJ uses to get into these high ridges or high locations, or even to duck out of danger, can be really tragic. So I hope both teams continuously use their light and wolfpack mechs as we wait for someone to load in. It's probably a 2d20 member not feeding their hamster who's trying to spin their computer wheels.
All right. It will definitely be interesting to see here. Hoping to see maybe a bit of some unique strategies coming out here, but we'll find out shortly here what each team's bringing out. Hold. Okay, we're holding. Someone
Oh,
did not connect, it looks like, so there will be a hold.
the hamster's on strike. Heard. Just to
Seems
clarify.
to be a common theme with this map today, as had a similar instance in a match on this map earlier today.
Yeah, so when a hold is
So
called, we actually have no influence on it whatsoever. Do see a little. Okay. They went back to the position. This is kind of a newer teams, but you always kind of wonder what's going to happen with some of these. Looks like the hold was called at 14. Okay, 1450. All right. So now we're moving. Sorry, go ahead. What do you have on your team?
So it looks like we count out here from Savvy some very close range CERN brawl. Looks like they're taking some interesting pathing here. Some of them going up on the ridge, some of them not. We
Okay.
got a catapult, 2 Archer 5Ws, and then my favorite, my beloved hero mech. This is in my opinion the most underrated mech for assault mechs in the game for this tournament. The Zeus Skokomesh
Oh,
coming out
absolutely.
along with 2 Phoenix Hawk 7Ss. Looks like Fubblewitz in his Fleet 17 here is going to be on the Kappa point as the 2 Phoenix Hawks
Ooh.
from Savvy come up and catch him. What do you have over there
All
from
right, so we'll have to go
2d20?
quickly because I feel like something's about to happen real soon. Bibblewitz in the Fleet 17 running the standard 5 small, 2 medium pulse. We do have a kind of a mid-range build with 3 Orions, 2 of them being 1Vs running UAC 5s and running a, or not 2, wow, they have, yeah, 2 Orion Vs running UAC 5s and SRM 6 4s. We have the Orion V8 running at the rear with the rocket launchers and 2 large X-Pulse and an LB5, and Thunderbolts running me X-Pulse, and we do see kind of a mid-range brawl focus, was we do see that Savi does have 2 split teams, but making a wise decision into disengaging from that top entirely, drop so they can at least fight together as a team. Now let's see, does Perry go for it? Does Perry drop?
Ooh, Perry will
Ooh!
drop. Will Savvy be able to capitalize on this? Hopefully they will move
Okay.
in there. Looks like 2d20 jumping off the ridge too. Franken and Cryo being a
Good,
bit slow
good.
to turn around here.
Perry is getting absolutely focused out. Good leg focus going on to them. They already have a leg open. Ooh, we do see a lot of side torso actually going up, but Perry is going to be the first one to go. Not before Plato takes out Pokenlight in that Catapult A1. This Catapult's very scary, Max. Always a good one to call. Looks like Arch and the Zeus is trying to be focused out. Does get picked, but standing proud, standing strong. We do have a little bit of mixed fire going on now. Now it's broken down into mass chaos. We have Frankie 2 going next down by Civ. We have Bibowitz grabbing Cairo the Twisted. We have Cairo the Twisted grabbing Civ. Good job. Oh, Cairo does go down in the Archer, so it's all up to Malkaron in Hubbletown. It is a 3v2 with an overheat by Indigo. Does save themselves from override. And wow. Woo! What a
The
fight.
tanky quirks there on the onions, reigning out supreme as those onions will survive. It will come out a clean 6-3 for 2d20 versus Savvy.
Very scary though. There was a lot of moments where I was curious to see how this could play out. Like the disengage from Sabi was great. Like if in that kind of situation, unless their Wolfpack was able to get behind quick enough, which I don't think they would have been, disengage from the top was the right call. And the like Perry dropping in that Thunderbolt was an easy grab, and they did punish it. They did grab it eventually, but 2d20 Nuisance Valley, knowing that they lost a mech, they could have sacrificed it and be like, ah, sorry, sucks to suck. But instead decided to join up with the Thunderbolt, and I think ultimately that was the right call. They wanted the mid-range, slow brawl kind of fight, and going for target prioritization was good. I do think the Catapult was the better first choice. Franken, I think, could have gotten more value because it was not the second choice, but there were 2 archers in that situation. Oh yeah, Cairo survived for quite a while. I think the Zeus was the second shot, I believe.
I believe that is correct there. Yeah, I think the big deciding factor there was the 2 archers kind of being far out there on that ramp. Probably possibly communication not quite getting sent out there or something, and they did just unfortunately didn't turn around to get that pick on Perry fast enough, and so they were a bit late returning to that fight, which I think did ultimately cost Savvy in the end.
Yeah, honestly, it was very close. So, like, there was so much brawlability out of what your team had that I feel like they could have probably cleaned it up. But yeah, I think it was a couple mistakes. Like, actually, it was a good play by Salvi. Maybe communication could have brought them a little bit stronger together. But I also don't think they expected to be handed a Thunderbolt. You know, like they had to react to that situation, and that might have made it a little tough. Real quick, coming out the damage.
Absolutely.
Orion V is doing 543, 429, very good. And then coming out of Savi, pretty solid damage numbers across the board. So everyone got a little taste. 289 coming to Franken and the Archer, 240 or 260 one of the Phoenix Hawks, which is really good. But yeah, the Catapult game focused out. That's a lot of burst damage to lose. So that's tough.
Absolutely. It looks like as well that Skokomesh unfortunately was just not quite able to get out much damage before he got taken down either. Managing to get that crucial kill, but then falling before he could really get off more than 1 alpha, it looks like.
I mean, simply put, it just wasn't the engage they wanted, and I think that's what it came down
Absolutely.
to. Which is tough, but I mean, that is also how comp goes. Like, everyone has these grand schemes and map tactics ideas of how the match should go, and like most military plans, and then it actually gets put into reality, and that's where it becomes tough. We're going to start the team swap. We're going to move on to the next map. Wait, no.
Same map
Same
here,
map.
Emerald Vale.
Thank
That
you.
is a unique part of Inner Sphere Champions here, where the first map is a one-off map. You play that map once in that lighter tonnage, and then you play the same map twice, swapping sides with the exact same tonnage. This drop, I believe, goes out to 375 tons, if I'm
Correct.
remembering correctly.
Correct. You're absolutely right. Look at you.
Um, which gives a bit of an interesting dynamic of each team can set up and plan for each side of the map, and then also build their strategies around each side of the map there for each drop. Also kind of eliminating that if there is a map with a side bias, you get to play both sides, so you're able to take advantage of that side bias if you are able to.
And there is also like kind of communicating on top of that. There is value over being team two because you do get to see what the tonnage lock is going to look like. You do get to see what the R or like the positioning the lances are with a little more time to think about that. Team two, once they're locked, team one only has a little time to be like, okay, analyze, figure it out before they launch or someone launches. So there is that element to it as well. But ISC taking the fun out of everything, made sure that there is not a big minimum tonnage gap because in some tournaments, at least in the past, you didn't have a minimum tonnage or you had a very, very low minimum tonnage. And that's when you start seeing one team, usually team one, bringing assaults and heavies, and team two bringing shadowcats and cicadas and annoying little tiny mechs that is not actually trying to get in a fight but wither you down bit by bit. So all things considered, I think it's a healthy decision because it's going to keep things from less being toxic in some avenues. But I'm curious to see like if this is something they keep on going to further tournaments because like it does offer a little bit of oh no factor, and I'm a big fan of the oh no factors.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I gotta say, Safi has lost these first two drops, but again, the first one it's kind of a cough up because it is just the first drop. Everyone has a random time with the first drop. The second one, I think it was just a purely little like positioning, but that's easy. That's an easy fix. Like at least it wasn't like a rock paper scissor, or it wasn't a huge giant blunder. Like maybe they ran away from the fight, or like it was definitely just a little bit of a positioning issue, which are easy things to fix. Which is the stuff that when I'm trying to coach a team, that's what I look for. I want to find the things that are easy to fix, and then for the bigger problems, it's just hopefully works out through them listening to you, or just experience, just in general. Um,
Absolutely.
and for everybody at home who are watching this match, so each drop does matter. Each drop does give you MC benefits, and then sometimes helps with like tie breaking or whatever when it comes to division placement. But a match win is when you win three of the drops. Doesn't always really factor in. Some teams don't even really care that much if you win the match, but it's more important just to see if everyone's having a good time and that maybe there is effort and progression to get drops. The point of me saying that is like, well, yes, while Savi has lost these two drops, all they have to do is bring in their mental a little bit stronger, and I'm sure they could pull off this third drop and go on to the fourth and fifth and swing it. Because once you get into that higher tonnage elevation, like the 375, the big tons where we go to 425, that sometimes goes into a lot of people's comforts. Like playing quick and medium mechs is not everyone's favorites. Like Phoenix Hawks, for example, which is what Savi was bringing, an excellent mech choice, but can be difficult to handle, difficult to play, and sometimes just not enjoyable for people. And that sometimes is a hard thing to figure out is when you're trying to mix in being comfortable and familiar with mechs or maybe questionable builds or questionable mechs, and then trying to master comp, sweaty, meta, this is what you should be playing mechs. Sometimes you just have to be comfortable finding that middle ground and finding strats and like concepts that are easy to grasp, or not even like because people have no ability to do so, but they're just something they're comfortable with. Work them towards it. I myself was, just like most quick play players, only ran laser vomit because it's like, look, it's a trace and point. What else do I gotta do? And then I started getting to Gauss rifles, and then I started getting to PPCs, and then fell in love with DACA and SRMs and all that kind of stuff. So progression. That's all you really ask for. And for comp and IC, first tournament 2d20's ever participated in. That's all we're looking for. Just getting people involved and having a good time. So
Absolutely.
team one is locked. 5 tons not needed from nuisance value. So we saw a little bit of a brawl push coming to Savi. You think no spoilers, please. But I like the idea that they were still trying to see if brawl could happen. Do you think that they would try to continue with that again? Or do you think they're going to go and move on to maybe some sniper shenanigans, some large X bolts?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they ultimately go with. I know they have a couple different strategies lined out for this map, so it'll be interesting to see
Ooh.
in the end which one they go for here for their Team Two side take of this map.
Oh, I can't wait. A little playbook action. I know it's for 2d20 we've practiced a lot of different things. I mean, obviously Brawl has been is an easy fallback for us because that's generally the easiest one to, well, I shouldn't say easiest. It is one of the more simple concepts to teach people and get them to do. It's just, hey, stick together, murder ball, find a mech, don't block your shots, kill that guy. Leg. But then when you go into long range, you have to worry about your armor shifting, armor trading, and there are other things you can finesse with Brawl, but
Hello there.
I would be curious to see if 2d20 would run a brawl push again. They did go for an Alpha Bravo spawn, which again kind of leads them back towards Kappa, with an interesting pick in Charlie Lance. Team two still working their stuff out, but currently set up for an Alpha Bravo as well. So maybe both teams looking to play with Kappa.
Indeed. Yeah, Alpha Bravo there from Team Two, definitely a very aggressive lance setup there from Team Two. Um, they could possibly go for a theta push there, but more likely, I think you are absolutely correct there. This will probably be a very quick push for them up towards Kappa to try and take that ridge line.
I mean, it's a good village line. I'm partial to FC. Do you think Kappa's better than FC?
For Team One, I would absolutely argue that Kappa's probably better than
Really?
Epsi.
Oh, okay.
However, for Team Two, Epsilon I think is probably the more safer pick there, just because trying to push in, as you mentioned earlier, from Kappa can be very devastating for Team Two if Team One is set up that firing line there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but both I would say that both sides definitely have their merits. I have played versus teams that like to take that C3 side over there on Epsi, and it's worked out very well for them. So I'd say definitely both sides are absolutely playable and have their own ups and downs.
No, that's fair. I guess I am a FC enjoyer. I didn't know it was. I assumed a lot of teams were looking at the FC just because, yeah, Team 2 for sure is just closer, so why not? But for Team 1, I thought it would be a good push just because you do have that middle ground cover. So, like, if you wanted to bring like, I don't know, not even a brawl setup, like a mid range setup that would want to challenge their Team 2 natural positioning, that would be worth it. That would be the a 50-50 that you would comfortably want to take just to deny team two. But I guess with the idea that team two or team one doesn't get to see where team two is going to spawn, I guess it is more of a gamble because they set up for a Charlie Bravo, but it seems team two is marshaling an Alpha Bravo Lance drop. That might make them feel like, oh, do we still go up here, or are we just wasting our time now? So I guess that's a fair argument. Up, team two locked, ready to
Absolutely.
go. Let's get it on.
All right.
Okay, before we get to this next match, what mech do you want to see? I know we already saw the Zeus Skull Watch, which seemed to be a nice one for you. Any other Dark Horse mechs or a specific mech you would like to see in ISC this season?
Mech that I feel is fairly underrated right now probably would be the Battlemaster. It generally
Oh.
gets overlooked because of the Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that there are Battlemasters that do kind of have their niche use. Once you've gone through your Stalkers here, don't think we'll see any today because I don't think either team has blown through their Stalkers quite yet. And arguably, if you haven't blown through your Stalkers, there isn't much of a reason to bring out a Battlemaster. But I would definitely say that would be the interesting mech of the day that I'd be curious to see if either team has picked up.
All right. Hey, I mean, I actually think that's a very astute and solid one to pick because you're absolutely right. Battle Masters do get overlooked quite a bit, even though they do have a lot of different builds you can run with them besides like Elord's Laser Poke. I've even seen some Brawl builds that weren't terrible. They were actually pretty decent with pretty decent engine caps to go along with it. Um, uh, I guess if I was thinking about the same thing, there's a lot of different Macs that I don't think I'm ever going to see, but maybe I will. I mean, have you seen any Black Knights yet? Because I haven't.
Um, in scrims, yes. In actual games, I don't think I have yet, unfortunately.
I mean, I know there's not a lot of the problem with the Black Knight is not necessarily anything wrong in the like anything wrong with specifically the mech. It's just in comparison, like other mechs potentially do it better. I just would like to see a Black Knight just because, I'm sure that's somebody's fan favorite. That's like someone who's like, no, this mech is goaded. I saw my first King Crab earlier today. Didn't think I was going to see any of those. Haven't seen a Fafnir though. Maybe a Fafnir would be nice.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
might need to hold again. Looks like someone here is having
I think it's the same person it was last time because Okay, no, go, 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 go. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good.
All right.
All right, go ahead and well, here I'll start it this time because I
All
think you
right.
went last time. All right, so coming out of 2d20 nuisance value, ooh, we actually have 3 Hunchback 4 SPs, 5 small poles, 2 SRM 4s, 2 SRM 6s, and another 2 SRM 4s, 2 medium X-bolts, and 2 small lasers. And we got ourselves 2 Atlases, 4 large X-post Atlas, 4 large X-post Atlas, and a Flea 17. And yeah, I thought they were positioning for a Kappa push. That might have been a debate or a mix up, who knows, going in for the Epsi push. What do you got over here?
We have 3 Marauders, followed up by a Black Widow Warhammer, all fitted out with either some snack AC-20 with snubs, or we got some light AC-5 PPC DACA.
Ooh.
Coming out then also with a Phoenix Hawk and a Firestarter. Neither team so far looking to have seen each other. Town does kind of sit up here and scope out what's happening at Kappa. Savvy 100% moving up there, trying to take that Kappa line as we thought they would. 2d20 seeming to kind of sit here in the center here, trying to kind of get an idea of where Savvy might be. Looks
I'd
like they might have
say
decided to move back towards the Kappa Ridge here.
I wasn't sure if they spotted anything because I thought maybe they did since they moved away from the Epsi cap. But yeah, they're looking towards the
Fibblewitz
center.
not having capped to Epsi yet. Neither team having taken any one of the caps, so it looks like Fibblewitz is now going for that Epsi cap. Interesting to see if Savvy takes the Kappa cap yet or not.
I like that because like going for the cap, you might think it'd be like, oh, why not get points on the board? Because it gives info. Like if nobody
Absolutely.
knows where people are, getting that info can be tragic. But now both teams are aware that some kind of action. Looks like 2d20 is backing up to their spawn.
Looks like Hubbletown and Cryo may be a little overextended here. They're a bit far up. 2d20 may be able to move in here and kind of punish that. Cryo was continuing to extend while Hubble's doing a little bit of some recon here. Looks as though Cryo may get caught unaware here by the Atlas of
Oh,
Plato.
there's the
As
spot.
he will push up, and he is spotted. Looks as though Cryo may get gunned down here quite early
I
on by
think
Plato J and that
this
Atlas.
might be good for Savi though. Because, like, yeah, those large explosives could do a lot of value, but Savi's got the slow brawl to deal with this. Oh, and there we go. We got a few exchanges. Not before Cairo does get legged and finished.
Savvy going out there, looking to spread that damage between Hurricane and Plato, seeming as though they are focusing on Hurricane.
Yeah, Perry's leg is open, overheating a little bit, but the Hunchback for his piece are going in to try to hold up those big mechs. We already got a leg coming out of Arch, and they're trying to turn them around. Let's see if that was worth it.
Hunchback's his leg. They will get a Marauder. 2 Marauders will fall here quickly in quick succession.
Atlas is still both going. It looks like Perry in the back did overheat a little bit and had to power down. Still got the Warhammer. It is legs, but it is got in a pretty good position. Franken 2 putting out some work, trying to take the leg off of Punky. Does indeed get it. Doesn't actually finish up the kill. Scrappy though. Legs is still dangerous and still scary. And Hubbletown getting legs as well by the Fibblewitz. And there we have it. Wow.
A lot of damage spread out there, unfortunately, across those Atlases. Each Atlas either legged or very close to being legged.
Oh, wow.
And it
No
looks
kidding.
like even an arm might have been gone on Paracone. They will take out a side torso there on Paracone, but unfortunately, it's not quite enough to finish off either Atlas. Those Atlases being allowed to sit there and just kind of continue to dish out that damage throughout the rest of the match.
Honestly, I thought Savvy was gonna get it purely on the base of like the drop decks. I feel like that the snacks on the Marauders and the Warhammer being Overwatch should have been enough. Player ID right there. Real quick to note, Frankie 2, yep, and that Warhammer doing pretty good amount of damage. 529, like Plato J and the Atlas did 461, but no one was able to get those kind of damage numbers compared to Frankie 2. So damage there is just I don't know. I don't want to say it in like mean it in a negative way. I feel like there was a bit of a stalling. I think that Savi might have wanted to initiate a little bit harder with those Marauders and actually take the initiative in that fight because the large X Pulse Atlases, yeah, they're hella tanky. They could put out a lot of DPS, but they do get hot. I mean, we saw Perry's Atlas.
Get very hot.
Like it was about to explode from the inside before even the legs actually happened. I think that would have been the play, but I don't actually run those Marauders. Do those get hot too?
Those Marauders stay fairly cool from my experience, especially the Black Widow as well. It can get hot, but you just let off the light PPCs, and then generally those ACs can kind of just carry the weight at that point once you've gotten through that initial extra damage.
Okay.
Overall, they're warm but manageable mechs, I would say.
So do you agree? Do you feel like that maybe just a little more initiative out of Sabi and they maybe could have turned them back to themselves?
100%. I would say that probably that's been as their coach my biggest criticism for them. Thing that they think they can work on is just they tend to stall out. They tend to start going and go, oh, we're getting shot at, or oh, the hunchbacks ran into the center of us, and they will kind of freeze up and pause there for a moment, and they just need to
Mhm.
hit that go button. They're like in, they just need to punch it. It's like, oh yeah, the hunchbacks are running into us, but those atlases are almost dead. If we kill those atlases,
That's
they're
damage off
gone.
the board, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now this is actually really interesting because I don't get to talk to too many coaches. So like one of the things I ran into for being a coach is the what I call the quick play mentality, right? And I'm sure you're already probably picking up what I'm getting at, and we kind of saw it a little bit right there. Is that in quick play, especially with 11 other people, there is that selfish nature, right? That you kind of have to play. Like you know that NASCAR is going to happen. You know that homie is going to shoot you. Doesn't matter if you tell them that you're going to step into their fire or not. You know that no one's going to really stand there and let you be like, hey guys, let's stay right here and fight these guys who are heading our flank. No, they're going to rotate away, because if people want to play a selfish game. And I feel that sometimes that unfortunate mentality, that difficulty it is to play in that kind of like circumstance and not be even on a subconscious level affected does sometimes translate to new comp players because like in that particular situation, I feel like that they all wanted to trade and get value. No one really wanted to commit their own armor for the overall potential like win of the deck. Does that make sense? Do you feel like that's a accurate statement?
100%. No, I would absolutely agree with that.
And that's a hard thing to train out, at least from my experience. Like sometimes you just gotta, uh, I wouldn't say be rude, but there's been plenty of times it's like, look at me. You see how I died first, but you had a good time. You were able to get value. You need to be able to do that too. I mean, for the first 2 years of me playing with 2d20, that's all I did. I died literally almost every match, but I was always the first one to die. I was always the first one to get it. And between me and you, it only made me stronger because now I can spectate and look through people's views and be like, get that guy, get that guy. But I feel like that's the only way I've been able to get my people. Have you tried to do that with this team, or do you feel like that's not necessarily it for them? Like they just need just general practice?
No, I would say 100%. That's kind of the issue is the moments they kind of start getting shot at, like, ooh, I don't want to get shot at, and so they kind of start to back up, they stall out, and it's like, no, you're getting shot at. Sure, turn and stop shooting if you have to. Like, get as much damage on these you can. You hide that leg, get off the off shot where you can, but you're gonna die if you're the first one getting shot at. You are dead. You'll die. It's not conditional. There's nothing you can do to stay alive. You will die. The rest of your team though is going to kill the enemies if you do your job properly and tank. And I think that's the biggest thing that you're getting in the comp. You have to kind of shake that quick play mentality, as you were saying, off of get into that mindset of I'm gonna die, but my team will kill them, and that's good.
Sorry, I was making sure I was keeping chat involved and appraised of what was going on. I have it set up to where I can update who's got drops so people who come in between can see it. Just to clarify for everybody else out there, Noose's value currently has 3 drops. Savvy has 0, but there are still 2 more matches to be playing, being on Series Scrapyard. With that casual pro segue, would you like to talk about Series Hammerfell?
Absolutely. So, series metal scrapyard here. Very interesting map, very unique map. I'm not too shy about the fact that I kind of hate this map, though it has slowly kind of grown on me, but not for what I would say are good reasons. This ISC. Ceres is a very interesting map, and it's kind of reminiscent of old Polar Highlands in a sense, where it's kind of rolling dunes. The dunes are a lot higher than that old map. And that leads to some interesting situations where you would think that there's a lot of great sightlines on the map. You'd think you get up high, you can see everything, it's great. But there's also a lot of ways to get on the other side of those dunes and cut off those sight lines. And so it's very interesting in that it's extremely easy to accidentally get your team cut off and split off on 2 separate sides of a dune or some sort, and you can very quickly get picked off by an enemy team if you're not aware of that pitfall in this map.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what these teams might bring. Like I've seen a lot at this map now. Speed brawls into sometimes slow brawls. Slow brawl does seem to get punished quite a bit here. I have seen a little bit of like long range trade, or at least long range Overwatch. Pop tarting though seems to be at least a somewhat of a fan favorite and somewhat of a sub theme for a lot of these decks. Maybe not the overall theme. Like I'm talking about the Crusaders with the PPC, snub or heavy otherwise. The Phoenix Hawks sometimes make plays. Now we've seen Phoenix Hawks come out of Savvy quite a bit. One of they would bring. I think they've only used one so far.
I believe they've gotten through two so
Is it
far.
two? Okay, okay. So maybe we could see one more come out. I've we've seen I think all three fleas at this point, right? Because it was a
I believe
flea
so.
and a fire starter, I believe, for nuisance value on drop one, and then a flea second drop, flea third drop is their only scout.
Yeah, I
Wow.
believe that is. I believe that is the case. I don't actually. I think one of the drops they might have used a fire starter and the third Phoenix Hawk I believe came
Mm,
out there. So I believe they have one more flea left if I remember correctly. But then otherwise, yeah, they're fairly low on those options, their choices there. That is another one of their biggest weaknesses coming as a new team is their very narrow mech pool. Trying to help
right.
a lot of them kind of spread out and kind of get a little bit more of a wider mech pool in there.
I mean, that will come over time. I mean, heck, the 2d20 for ISC the first time, we ran was Vulcans and Bushwhackers for like the entire time, and it was painful to run those bushies and painful. Only the Vulcans were good back then. Now they're not. Well, some of the Vulcans are good, but like the Vulcan 5T, 5 MPLs, nothing better. Nothing was better than that.
Yeah.
MPLs have,
Now the Bushwhacker is actually
yeah,
phenomenal with some of those changes
yeah.
that have been made to it there with both you have the AC light PPC AC5 DACA, you got the SERM heavy machine gun, like those
Hmm.
bushies can do some hurt now.
I even ran, or I put together the P1 Bushwhacker running 5 SRM 6. Like it like doesn't have JJ's, hitbox is still janky, and the spread is a little janky, but has the same amount of armor and structure as a Katara, which runs the 5 SRM 6s. Given that Katara has a better hitbox for it, it was just kind of interesting to see that there are other mech availabilities stuff like that. And with how the past quirks and changes have been happening recently, I like them, and this might be make it tougher for new teams and new comp people. But I like them because it's going to give you more mech diversity. So they won't all like there will always eventually be a comp meta. This is what you need to have, but there will be mechs now comparable enough that you're like, oh, you don't have that mech. Oh, but you got that one. Oh, that would probably be fine. It would be that kind of methodology, which helps newer players. Like allows them to pick mechs that they would enjoy and like to play without feeling like they are, taking away their own personal enjoyment, their own personal desires, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. And Poke Lighty in here.
They're teasing us.
Not quite ready as they've locked, unfortunately, here. We'll see how long it takes Savvy here to
Wait.
fix that. Wait, yeah, they're noticing that Poke maybe not readied up yet.
Maybe they should poke
Um
them. All right, there we go.
There we go.
I'm gonna wait just a second longer just to make sure we good. Or I'm just gonna ask, we good? Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Cool. Sweet.
Cool.
All
And
right.
get that swapped over to the in-game casting scene here.
All snap. Let's do it. I get rid of my caster folder. Unfortunately, I've been covering up the pro caster right here. It's coming up the cap points and the mech percentages. Whoopsie.
Oof. Well,
You know what? It's all right.
we'll have that fixed for the next two drops there, so then we'll be
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
here.
All right, series scrapyard. Another very mood feeling kind of map. I
Absolutely.
love it though. It's very much like a graveyard kind of style with the fog coming in, with the scraps of mech and ship debris everywhere. Very appropriate BattleTech setting or MechWarrior Online setting.
Absolutely. I think it is absolutely as far as thematically goes for the game genre. It's a very like BattleTech, Rust and Grime
Hmm.
type of map. My just again biggest issue with it mainly comes down to the jank hitboxes on some of the metal scraps, and then also just there's too much cover, well, not enough cover, which is an interesting thing to say. Of just
A
the
dynamic
rolling
to have.
dunes provide a very great way to cut off sight lines. But then when you get to the top of those dunes, there is no cover. So it's an interesting balancing act of do I want to see and be able to shoot them, or do I need to hide down the low ground?
Looks like we might have a little bit of issues. Oh, okay, looks like people are getting their stuff together, hopefully. Yeah, okay, Fibblewood's saying good luck, have fun. That's a good sign. All right, I don't know who I'm by. I'm thinking I'm by Savvy. All right, you want me to start with mine or you want me to start yours?
I'll start with 2d20 here.
Alright,
Looks
go
like we
ahead.
have some Maulers coming out here. MX90, my beloved. That's a mech I'm
Such a good
quite
mech.
familiar with from last year's ISC. An interesting build coming out here with 3 AC5, AC2. I assume that is probably to make them a little bit faster here. That mech can run 4 AC5 with 2 AC2, which gets a little bit more damage coming out there. Followed up by Cyclops Sleipnir with 4 LB5 and 4 medium pulse, another interesting build. That mech's fairly well known for either double UAC 5, double UAC 10, or full or LB 10. Flee from Fibblewitz then running out towards Theta. What does Savvy got?
So Savvy's brought 2 fleas. Cairo, the Twisted Arch, running 2 flea 17s, running very similar builds, a little bit of mixture. We have 3 Night Stars running, interesting enough, 4 Rack 2s on each of them. Well, one of them is running 2 UAC 5 and 2 light PPCs. Or excuse me, let me make sure because that is. Now I said it out loud. Yeah, 2 UAC 5s, 2 light PPCs, and 2 UAC 2s. And then our Marauder 4L bringing up the rear. Oh, no, the Marauder. Oh, Marauder Alpha. I assume that's a hero. I'm sorry. I've got a little tripped out. They're all the same. They all look very similar. But 3 Night Stars, all 4 Rack 2s. Marauder AL, which I think is the hero Marauder, running the 2 UAC 5s, 2 UAC 2s, and the 2 light PPCs. Blech, words.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Car the Twisted. Finding the big tonnage, UAV going out, but nothing hurt back for. I will have to claim the Cyclops. Oh, Play-Doh, I love you. The Cyclops is one of my favorite type of mechs, so I'm glad that we both seem to have our favorite mechs in the game. Does it get played? And yeah, the LB5 medium expose is an interesting build, but it's turned out to be a very satisfying build to play. Even only having 1 cat mech, technically, I guess you could say the Hellspawn can kind of do it. We do see that they did take over Theta and Kappa. We do see some nice rack fire coming out, pelting the docket line that is nuisance value. Now it comes down to who can trade better, Pinpoint Daka or racks.
And it looks like that Pinpoint Daka will win out here. Malkarov having the backup after taking a lot of damage. Hubbletown now taking in some of that brunt. Pokelay in, trading back there. A lot of damage going on in Kamasi. Kind of equaling out that trade a little bit, though. Hubble took a lot of damage there, too.
Malkaron does go down.
And
I think it was just simply Malkaron was peaking. Unfortunately, because of maybe the positioning, the other Night Stars were not able to. So it was effectively a 1v3 trade. That's tough.
Absolutely.
That's real tough.
Hubble now kind of having the same issue as they're also getting shot in the back. Hubble now maybe realizing that they have some other issues to attend to.
There we go. There we go. Hubble and Franken putting a lot of shots on Corsair, who was in the low ground. Oh, they're going legs. Okay, I respect that. The Corsair kind of protecting, trying to pull out of that fight. Hubbletown not letting up, though. He's like, nah, I'm going to get that leg. Frankie 2 moving up, but it does seem like the Fleas and Hellspawn have decided to take the advantage and go pick up the Marauder AL. We do see the Fleas, 1 Flea trying to defend and 1 Flea trying to be the aggressor. Car the Twisted trying to get into the back line, hitting the rear flanks. We do see Corsair go down with the Night Stars. Night Stars are now trying to move back into the fight. The last Night Star is indeed legged, but it's still in the fight, still ready to go, and 2 Fleas are scary to deal with. Play-Doh finally going down with the 2 Fleas actually ganging up on him. Good job, Cairo and Arch. Cairo and Arch just trying to stay alive at this point, see if they can pick up the other Mauler. Trying to pull themselves. Frankie 2 is now scoring up against, unfortunately, a very fresh Mauler. Still might play it right. They're protected in leg, but does get back shot by the Hellspawn. So now it's 2 Fleas against the world. But 2 Fleas are scary, especially if they're working together. Look at that. Another kill going towards Savi. Ooh, another
absolutely.
opponent.
Fleas are terrifying here. I think the one thing that is against them is the enemy team still also has its own fleet to kind of keep them on their toes. So if they're able to maybe lure it off and isolate it, pick it off together,
that would be
may
good.
Be able to pull that back.
Looks like they're
taking
kind
a
of
lot of damage.
Arch is open on both legs. Cairo is taking they're listening to what you're saying. They're internalizing the coach wisdom and was trying to isolate one of the mechs, but then decided to go right back in it. I think they just want to pick that Mauler. I think they really want to get the leg Mauler.
Absolutely. It looks like that is indeed what they're going for here.
One of them is Cairo. Okay, they're playing with my emotions. Oh, there we go. Cairo getting legs
Cairo
and finished. It's up to you, Arch.
Close to getting legged here.
Ooh, good leg on the Hellspawn.
No! But he will get legged himself and quickly go down here.
Oh,
Fairly close match here coming out between
yeah. That wasn't bad. That was.
2d20 and Savvy.
I mean, there was a lot of like isolated engagements, and it they had like those racks were doing some work. Publishing stats. There you go. If you need it, boom. Let's take a look. Wow, almost 1,000 damage. Now, given its DACA, given its no, it's a DACA mech with a fair amount of ammo, but getting 1,000 damage is not an easy feat to do for 6v6 format. So either Wrist was not focusing components as well as they should, or maybe they just had that. I mean, Night Stars and a Modder is a lot of armor to chew through. Not to take away from Humbletown. Humbletown, who was being the aggressor on that Mauler down the low ground and was able to pick it off, did pull 579 damage, which is solid damage to pull and what you would expect out of a Night Star.
Absolutely. It does look like there, unfortunately, the sighting factor might have been Mal overexposing a little bit early there. His other Night Star's just not able to peak up with him. That Night Star just really underperforming there where they needed it to kind of shine. Just going down just too early again, trying that taking that 1v3 trade. Very well executed from 2d20 there on that triple Mauler stack, just ripping him to shreds. Very concise CT kill there on that out on Malkarov.
And that's just that for me. That's the only reason why I have a hard time personally with the racks, because the racks, kind of like the large expulse to a certain extent, require that FaceTime, right? Like you kind of get that FaceTime needed by like normal BattleMechs, but they need it 100% in order to get that value, and for that damage to take over that sustained DPS, right? Now with the other BattleMechs, the AC5s, LB5s to a certain extent as well. Yes, you kind of want to out trade and out damage, but they don't necessarily need to take that FaceTime. They could put those fire out, dip away, or like keep that precision going and maybe take off a component and wiggle. This is where your skill nodes of kinetic burst, the skill nodes you would find in the mobility tree to get to speed tweak, and the hard break, excuse me, skill nodes. That little back and forth wiggle can throw off the wreck shots just enough that if you can keep your shots in. Night Stars, especially with the new changes and they're a little bit more squatter or a little more not as wide mechs, was a good change, but does mean that their armor and everything is still relatively easy to hit CT. I did notice that Malkarvon, that big drop to where they hit 67% was purely based off of them getting headshot a little bit. Which, it's in a standard CT. That's kind of expected. No headshots, unfortunately, yet in any of this season. At least not that I've seen.
I believe there was 2 headshots in the game
Ooh.
earlier today. Let's see here. So
No
someone was talking
way.
about it. There was a little bit of banner about it in one of the channels in the comp Discord there. I believe. Let me see here if I can find which match that was for real quick here while we wait for the teams to ready up. Teams are swapped. Looks out and like TV20 might be doing some members swapped in here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who got the headshots. And yeah, for 2d20, we have in both teams a pretty sizable roster, and we are usually fans of like if you want to play, we'll get you involved. So we try to balance out everybody's drops. Which the good thing about that is that everyone gets to play, everyone gets to have a good time. The bad thing about it is that sometimes you don't get the consistency or chemistry building you might want if you had like a pure six that just plays every single drop. But it does also help with burnout, depending on what happens. And I got to give it to Salvi. Like, even though that was their fourth drop and they had lost the first three, it didn't look like they were a team that had lost those first three drops. They looked like a team that still was playing 100%. I think it was, again, just a little bit of the positioning. And the Night Stars and the Marauder, that's a lot of big tonnage to have to be next to each other and put out damage. So I think that kind of came down to it's just there was enough wiggle room. Like they could have spread out a little bit more, possibly, and maybe played maybe even a little more aggressive with having some mechs like that Marauder in the back being able to put out that fire. But it's a tough one. That's a tough thing to do. And again, it's just like the stuff that we were talking about earlier. Like if you're used to just trying to sit back and farm, get as much value before you have to share your armor, um, it's a hard mentality to break. I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened there. Like I saw that when Franken 2 dropped down the Night Star to fight Corsair and the Mauler, Hubatown did come over to come help them out. So there is definitely some like familiarity and chemistry going on. And I love the work that was going on between Cairo and Arch. Like those two fleets did do a nice little cleanup duty against 2d20 nuisance values. So like there's good stuff coming out of these teams.
Absolutely.
Did you find the headshot people?
Yes, it looks like in the match for DPS. Let's see here. That was DPS versus. Let's see here. DPS was versus somewhere in here. I will see it.
No worries. I was just curious because headshots are pretty unique, and as someone who failed a headshot challenge of trying to get 100 headshots in a month, I only put actual like 9 days, could only get to 42, and that was with me maybe playing against tier 5, tier 4 to try to help me get those numbers up. It's tough. It's real tough. Like some people are pretty goated at being like, wait, you hit my head? I'm not letting that happen again. Even if I get killed by anybody else, I'm not giving you the headshot. So in comp, especially, it's even tougher in my opinion.
Absolutely.
We need to have a. There should be a drinking game for the amount of times you said absolutely. I think I would love that.
I need to work on saying that. Yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, I do the same thing too. Like there's so many times where I go off. Like I think you should do a drinking game of the amount of times I ramble and like go off on a random 3-part tangent for no reason. And like this might even be included as one of those rambles. So drink up, everybody. Drink responsibly. Sponsored by NW Comp. All right. Well, this is the final match. Still at 425 tons. Team 1 goes to Savi. Team 2 goes to 2d20 Nuisance value. And not to be biased, because I know there is a little bias no matter how well we would do it. But I'm trying to kind of keep it pretty objective for both teams. I would like to see 2d20 Nuisance value win this match purely because Savage Crew, the team I played with, also won their 5-0 their enemy team. So it'd be kind of cool to see both 2d22s 5-0 and cause a little upset in our division. At the same time, I do want to see Savi take it back because while it is fun to put out 5-0s, it is kind of tough to take a 5-0. Like, you being, or C or 5, or whatever you want to say it. And I don't think Savi should take it too much to heart because we do have a kind of a mixed roster of some 2d20 vets with a lot of brand new people being brought into the comp scene. There's still a little bit of like experience that goes into it, and I want Savi to appreciate how much of a good job and how much good work they put in, and how much of an improvement they've made from here from to like last week. Like it's a huge improvement. And I'm sure you already know Hammerfell, and I know that we've already been doing scrim partnerships with them. We're always down to scrim with you guys and Savi, and would love to help you grow as any way we can. Even if it is just like if you want to drop quick play with any of the 2d20 folks, like we're generally pretty friendly to a lot of people. So as long as you're able to maintain the same friendliness when we get into matches, come play with us. I mean, the only way you get better is by playing more, and playing gets better. So Hammerfell can attest to this. 2d20 and SPQR have very difficult times playing against certain Div A teams where it doesn't even feel like you can remotely win. Like it sometimes feels like it's like, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Like how do I get out of spawn? Kind of situations. I think we both experienced that a handful of times already. But eventually you start figuring it out, and you start figuring out how to change the flow, how to make things upsetting, and I think you could do it, Savi. I like the people you have, and I like the people that you brought together, Hammerfell. You seem like a pretty cool team and good people. So
Absolutely. No, and I'll make sure to pass that on to them here. Hopefully they'll be watching this back and they'll hear that nice message from you there.
oh, good.
But no, absolutely. I would say the biggest thing to improve is making sure that you want to punch above your weight class, but don't punch too high. If you're like a Div, G Div F team, don't try and scrim a Div B or Div A team. Try and find someone Div E, Div D, and try and scrim with them. And you want to scrim someone who's a bit better than you, but not so good that you don't know what they're doing different. You want to be able to analyze what your scrim partners are doing, and you want to be able to internalize kind of like, all right, this is what they're doing, this is what we're doing that's not working versus that. So what can we do that will work? And kind of you want to make sure that you're able to improve based on what you're doing in your practices there. I would say
Wise.
100% that is the most important thing with scrims is making sure that you're not demoralizing yourself by fighting people that you just don't know what they're doing different.
And especially with the teams that you can find that are just maybe slightly better. For a lot of us out there, like I could easily mention like Op4, CDU, SPQR, 2D20. Some of the FGRD blokes as well, especially the lower divisions. Like just ask questions. Like a lot of us, like we just want to play MechWarrior Online, but that's not quick play. And like like 2d20 likes quick play, but we throw more than we win in quick play. We're more about just trying to have a good time with that. With comp, yeah, we take it a little bit seriously, but at the same time, we just want to expand and just to get a little bit better at the game. We're not looking for Div A, Div B. I mean, we're gonna take top 8 next year for Worlds, just saying, casually. But we're not really trying to get division in place. We don't want to play through a whole year doing that stuff. But we'll gatekeep. We'll take what we can. But yeah, no, ask questions. Try to get involved. Like, there's a lot of great people out there. And for a game that's been around forever, there's surprisingly a pretty lively community and dedicated community to this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know how much we need to plug for MW Comp or any of that stuff, but I love to plug it in as much as I can. So.
No, absolutely. And again, I said this in one of the matches I did last week as well with Ivor, but the competitive scene, if you're playing quick play and you're just like, man, this isn't quite, you aren't quite vibing with quick play. I'm kind of, this is something I've been experiencing as I was playing more quick play recently. I kind of at this point mainly play in lobbies. I really enjoy that smaller, like the 8v8 event week they did a while back where everything was just 8v8 was my favorite time that I've had in probably MechWarriors because I enjoy that smaller, more, tactical gameplay that you get out of the competitive scene where you have 8v8 or 6v6. And you kind of have to, you're kind of forced by those smaller formats to have a bit more teamwork and cohesion.
Absolutely. See, I did it too. Look at this. I think it's important. I think it's important to get people involved. All right. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Final match, everybody. Let's go. All right. So this is again, 425 tons. Let's see what kind of mechs. Let's see if Fibowitz can actually load in on time this time. Probably not. Right. And yeah.
I got the Gamma spawn here. If you want to go pick up whoever spawns at Sigma.
All right. I got you. Have you ever gone into the outskirt buildings? Oh, this is painted on? I didn't know this is painted on. They have a painted on backdrop. I didn't know it was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That one goes out into the aether. Okay. The void.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, because I just thought it was part of like actual structures, but is the radar dishes scenery, or are they actually there? I'm assuming they're there.
The radar dishes are actually there, yeah. It's anything that's like really far out there on the outskirts, yeah, it's in fact painted on scenery. That's cool.
Which is pretty good painting. Like, it actually looked pretty three-dimensional.
Yeah.
All right, PGI, I see you. You can flex. I like it. All right, looking at good old 2d20 Nuisance value, we have ourselves, oh yeah, baby. We got 3 Charger 1A1s. Finally got to see some Charger action. Running the 6 small lasers. I'm assuming large expulse for all of them. Looks to be that way. We do see a hero coming out by Civ running the Thanatos. A Hangover, 5 SRM2, 5 small expulse. We get an Assassin, 3 SRM6 Artemis. Just 3 SRM6 Artemis. Okay, I respect it, Cat Girl. And then lastly, the Warhammer saw 7 small expulse on the Warhammer 9D. What do you got?
We got a Zeus Skull, followed by 2 Orion Vs, a Marauder 4 HP, and a Catapult K2, followed up by a Javelin 11F.
Oh, I like that. Are we looking at some Brawl? What do you got going on? DACA? Ooh, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I should go over the builds. Yeah, we have triple MRMs on the Orion Vs. We got some, let's see here. Is it going to be SERMs or rockets? We got SERMs coming out there on the Marauder 4
I was hoping rockets too.
But
SERMs are better.
Also on the Catapult. We have Snack coming out with triple snub and an AC-20.
And we got our first Javelin coming out I think for both teams. It's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
I believe.
Oh, and a snub nose on that Javelin.
Ooh.
Yeah, snub and 6 machine guns, which I think is a good play for the series. Ooh, we do see. Are they going to be noticed?
They are not. Looks like 2d20 will get the first shots on here onto Plato.
A little speed bro action.
Bit of a delay there, and them turning around to try and fight there.
Oh wow! Look at that. Kind of a weird engagement, but I'm here for it as they are enveloping Kyra the Twisted in that catapult. Does go down. Looks like the next one up is maybe the Marauder. Zeus is going in, trying to sow chaos and destruction amongst the ranks. We do have Plato getting legged in that exchange. Let's see if they are able to take him out before losing another. But unfortunately, Arch does get legged. Poke and Light does go down in that Marauder. Zeus is still going. Pragan too, though, scooping up a Perry in their charger. But then we have Arch going down next. Plato's still alive in their charger. We do have Scrappy Metal Can jump jetting around, trying to make moves. Civ, oh, self-destruction coming. Malkarov not wanting to be taken out. The last Orion does get focused out, and now we have Hubble Town in the Javelin 11F. Getting legged and getting finished. Nasty.
Very, very interesting engage there with 2d20 kind of coming in ambushing Savvy there. Looked like Savvy was a little bit slow to realize they had been caught there. Cryo then going down quickly after, and the brawl resulting in an almost dead Plato, but otherwise fairly healthy 2d20. 2d20 decisively coming away from that ambush.
You know, I'm sad too. I wanted Plato to die as well. I'm just saying. But I will say that part of that survivability, like I think Zeus, who was it, Arch, made a good call about trying to pushing in, trying to save a little more armor. But at the same time, Perry and Scrappy Metal, in the Warhammer and Charger and Warhammer respectively, they did the exact same thing and pushed into the backline of Safi. And so with both teams having chaos being sewn into their backline, I think that equaled it out. And yeah, the ambush initially, like that catapult was trying to get away from that fight instead of trying to fight it itself. And I think that was, I mean, that was honestly, they were just trying to get with their team, not get focused out completely. But yeah, Cairo doing 0 damage in that catapult. Oh, it's tough, but you know, someone's got to be a call target. And good on you, Cairo. You try to get away. So props to you. And Fragan too, Ryan 1B, all those MRMs, 450 damage. Woo! Love to see it. And Plato, 433 damage to that charger, and that was the first one to get focused out. Rift coming up 456 with their charger. Good damage across the board, and good fighting across the board.
Absolutely. That will be the conclusion here of Inner Sphere Champions 2d20 versus Savvy Week 2 for Division F. I believe I misspoke earlier when I said Div E. That was actually Div F. For everyone, if that we got pointed out to me here by Dan McMahon.
Always on it, what a legend.
Absolutely.
That was actually the person who helped remind me about my overlay still being there. So Dan the McMahon on 2 different streams, just being the trooper that we know.
Absolutely.
Let's love it. Hammerfell, thanks again. This was a blast to cast and stream with you. Hopefully we could do it again sometime. I'll definitely would love to cast for your team, Savi, and I hopefully you wouldn't mind helping my good old Nuisance Valley people whenever another cast comes up for them. But did you have a good time?
Absolutely. Thanks for casting with me. It was a pleasure to be with you here tonight. Thanks everyone again also for tuning in to the 2d20 versus Savvy Proud Dads co-cast of our two coaches here and watching our 2 teams go at it.
Oh yeah.
And tune in next time for our upcoming casts here, which can be found on aceswild.com, where we have the stream schedule for every week up. And got a lot more casters going out this year, so stay tuned and tune into our 3 different MWO Leagues matches, or channels, to find more MechWarrior.
Oh, it's gonna be good times. Definitely stay tuned. All right, everybody. I'm gonna be headed out for the night. So wherever you are, what's going on in the world, do my best to keep you entertained. So thanks for watching me, Hammerfell. Salute.